Score.
Are you playing tonight again?
It's Vegas.
Deb's going to give us a bit more time.
Still putting out hope for them, Susan? Still putting out hope for them?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no. If they'd win both games against Vegas now, maybe I'd have a sliver, but Hellebuck is horrible. We need a new goalie.
Well, they got to replace
They
Vegas.
played okay last game against St. Louis.
No score.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome, council. At this time, I would like to give the opening to Councillor Bill Hiebert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was the beginning of January, a new year, and I felt like I'd been locked down for 2 years. No winter holidays last year due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. So this year, Darlene and I decided to take a holiday after we received our 3rd vaccine shot. Our winter holiday consisted of sunshine, walking, hiking, and a lot of reading. Also great food. This year I started off reading John Grisham's book, The Judge's List, a great read. The second book was recommended by my brother Dave, The Great Influenza by John M. Barrie, the story of the deadliest plague in the history of this world, 1918 to 1920, called the Spanish flu, or today referred to as H1N1. Although it's called a Spanish flu, according to records, it most likely started in the USA. As the US was gathering soldiers in preparation to send to Europe for the First World War, they housed young men in camps that had normal capacity of about 20,000 men, now crammed in up to 100,000 in tense and very tight quarters. In fall conditions, rainy and cold. This happened in September of 1918. According to records, the flu first broke out at Fort Devens, Massachusetts. A mild form at the beginning, but as it mutated, it became deadly. With World War I in its peak, this gave the flu momentum, and by the end of October, it had killed millions in America, Europe, and spreading to most of the world. The people that contracted the virus suffered horrifically. Estimates report that as many as 100 million people died, according to today's population, that would translate to approximately 350 million people. The following are some of the biggest differences from 1918 Spanish flu to the 2020 COVID-19. In 1918, I should say, the media was denying the facts and telling people not to worry, playing its stay positive game. Few precautions were taken, large gatherings spread the flu. One example was the city of Philadelphia, which had a large parade where thousands of people attended, spreading the flu and resulting in many deaths. Medical research at the time was nowhere near what it is today, so vaccines were not developed as quickly as today. Another difference of 1918 versus 2020 is the demographic of death. In 1918, pretty well 1/2 of fatalities were between the ages of 20 to 30-year-old people in the prime of their lives. The 2020 pandemic, up to date, has approximately 6 million deaths worldwide, taking mostly the elderly and those with serious health issues. The US over the last 2 years have lost 900,000 people compared to a normal flu at the same time of 120,000. The media has really been on top of reporting what's happening around the world, and this has brought a lot of fear and anxiety to many. Unfortunately, part of the 2020 pandemic is that it has brought division in communities and families due to opinions of diverse views, mask mandates and social isolation. Also, work stoppages due to COVID have cost our economy greatly and will continue for quite a while. Thankfully, with many medical researchers working together, we have vaccines that seem to be working, and most people have taken precautions, which has caused the flu to become more manageable. Today, my condolences go out to all the families who have lost loved ones. This has been a very challenging and difficult time for many people. I've made a conscious effort to bring people of different opinion than I have about COVID, vaccines and mandates to a place of understanding that we need to work together in peace and harmony, and then life will return to normal once again. I'm excited about the mask mandate being lifted as of today. This is great. So let's pray that this will last. We all have become aware of how important it is to isolate ourselves when we are experiencing flu-like symptoms, to protect others. Let's make it a better tomorrow for our community, family, and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiebert. Council, we have the agenda in front of us, looking for a motion to adopt. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Siemens. Any comments?
No comments.
We'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, we have the minutes of March 1st, 2022, regular council meeting. We've all had an opportunity to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra, second by Councillor Hiebert. Any comments? We'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. It is 7:35 at this time, so we'll move directly into the public hearing. This is for Variance V-2022-03, referring to 30 Market Boulevard. Council, you'll find this on page 4 of your agenda package. At this time, I will close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Warkentine, could you please introduce this file?
Mayor and members of council, the application for variance, file V-2022-03. Mr. Mayor, you also already previously mentioned the civic address of the subject property. The owner of this property is High Life Ltd., with the applicant for the variance being Matthew Sibinel. Purpose of the variance application is the applicant is proposing to not have any screening walls for the rooftop mechanical equipment atop the commercial building presently under construction. As per city zoning bylaw 2100, all rooftop mechanical equipment must be screened so as to not be visible from adjacent public streets or adjacent properties. Notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is no written correspondence on file. With respect to the application, it is the site itself exists within a larger mixed-use development along PTH 12 North in Steinbach. With respect to the property itself, there is future high-rise residential units planned to the west of the immediate site, which may be impacted. However, despite that potential, recommendation from administration as the council approve the variance subject to any new evidence that may be presented.
Thank you, Mr. Warkentine. Is the applicant here today?
Yes.
Would you prefer to speak?
I can if you like. My name is Sheldon Stott. I'm Senior Director of Corporate Sustainability with High Life, and just wanted to thank council for giving us the opportunity to speak before you today. And I think, yeah, our application kind of speaks for itself. I think the spirit of the bylaw is maintained through this development, as the height of our building will accommodate the fact that none of these this infrastructure on our roof can be seen from the adjacent streets, and feel that it supports the spirit of that bylaw, and would hope the council will approve our variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here with comments, questions, or objections to this file? No? I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone here with comments, questions, or objections to this file? Okay. Seeing none, at this time, I will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve the variance.
Second by Councillor Hiebert. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As has been explained, this is the variances so that the building will not have to have any screening walls for the rooftop mechanical equipment. I think the applicant explained very clearly the reason that they're asking for this variance is because this building is quite tall. It's about 4 stories, which means that the mechanical equipment is not going to be easily visible anyway. And the intent of the bylaw, and the applicant is exactly right on this. The intent is aesthetic. It's about appearances in terms of how it looks in the area, and it will look just fine because of the fact that the mechanical equipment itself will not be visible. And we're certainly looking forward to this, to the High Life locating there and building there and finishing construction, all that, and it's going to be a great facility.
Thank you. Anything further? Anything further of council? Anything closing? Well, council, I don't have much to say. I also, I'm very thankful that High Life is coming to our community and that they're building a building of this stature and the type of building they're building. It will be a very good-looking building. And I do believe where they're situating all their infrastructure is in the center. So it will be high. With sight lines, it'll be very hard to see the infrastructure on top of the roof. So at this time, I call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. We are just a little bit before 7:45, so we will move down to number 9. 9A, Administration, Accounts Payable. Council, the accounts payable in the back of the book, looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
No.
Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Go 9B, Building Permits for February 2021. That's on page 15. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Hiebert. Any comments?
No comment.
No further comments, no.
Anything further of council? Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council 9C, we have business licenses on page 16. Just looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Nothing further.
Nothing.
Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We've got 9D, excavator licenses. It's on page 17. There's 3 of them there. Just looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Hiebert. Any comments?
It's always my favorite part. That's it.
Anything further? Seeing further of council? Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, council, we got 9E on page 18. This is the summary of the City of Steinbach grants. Mr. Workentine, you're looking for us to adopt by resolution?
Yes, for 2021.
Okay. So council, you see all the grants that are listed there. Just, we're looking for a motion to approve these grants for 2021. Councillor Penner? Yes?
I'm sorry, I've just been advised, actually, the resolution is for both 2020 and 2021.
Okay. Do we do them by separate resolution or just one is good?
They can be together.
Okay, council, we just learned that the resolution is for 2020 and 2021. Are you still okay?
Still okay with that.
Councillor Penner? Yep. Okay. We're doing 2 years in a row here. Okay. Okay, seconder? Councillor Swagstra? Any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's important to note that there's a steep increase to the Steinbach Chamber of Commerce, but that is with the new Economic Development Officer position that we are joint funding with the private and public partnership. And also, I'm very happy to see that, or to say again that we stepped up to STAR's request and are funding them as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
Nothing further. He covered it.
Okay. Anything further of council? Great. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we got 9F. This is Bylaw 2187, local improvement. This is referring to 2022-02, PTH 12 North and Lowen. This is third reading. Mr. Workentine, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of council, this bylaw 2187 was proposed local improvement bylaw and local improvement plan for the intersection improvement that's being planned for PTH 12 North and Loewen Boulevard. The public hearing for the bylaw was completed. Bylaw was submitted to the Manitoba Municipal Board for review. The board has now approved Bylaw 2187, and as such, City Council may now give this bylaw third reading. The local improvement plan seeks to borrow up to $3.5 million for the proposed project, which in its entirety is expected to be just over $8 million. Recommendation from administration is that this bylaw be given third reading.
Thank you, Mr. Bartling. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra?
I'll move third reading.
Second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is obviously a significant project because it's the reconstruction of the Lowen Blvd Highway 12 intersection. Specifically, this gives third reading to the borrowing bylaw that's been approved by the municipal board. We will be borrowing $3.5 million over 5 years. And also, just as a reminder, most of the remainder, just over $4.5 million, is being covered by the province. And so this is a joint project between the city and the province, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing it go ahead. It's the last of the major intersections along Highway 12 that we are seeing undergo significant upgrades.
Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Council, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, council, we are just a little bit past 7:45, so we'll go back up to number 7, our delegation. This is referring to the Steinbach Flying-In Golf Course. The name of presenter is David Banman. So we will give the floor now to our delegation.
Actually, I'll be speaking second. Our head golf pro, Brian Gunther, will start the presentation.
Okay. Mr. Gunther, take the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, City Councillors, Mr. Mayor. My name is Brian Gunther, head golf professional and manager of the Steinbach Golf Club. I'd like to explain an issue that we are having at the golf club, and then David Banman, board member of the Steinbach Golf Club, will present our request to council. Steinbach Golf Club is experiencing problems with our irrigation system. Water is the lifeblood of a golf course, ensuring that we have the best conditions possible each and every day. Steinbach Golf Club has a provincial-wide reputation for our layout and great course conditions. Fortunately, we do not have a water problem, as many other golf operations are experiencing. In 2008 and 2010, the golf club replaced aging artesian wells at a cost of close to $175,000. The issue we are experiencing is with our electrical wire. The Steinbach Golf Club installed a state-of-the-art irrigation system in 1988. Irrigation wiring is expected to last 13 to 15 years. Ours is now 34 years old. The Steinbach Golf Club needs to replace the wire that runs through the golf course. The wire has deteriorated, causing poor communication to water cycles and individual irrigation heads. This has caused interruptions to course play and increased our labor substantially when repairs are needed. The wire needs to be replaced from the maintenance shed all the way through the entire golf course. The wire for irrigation has affected both our front and back nine. Ideally, we would like to make these repairs this October. Steinbach Golf Club has been a part of the community since 1954, and the club believes in being a strong corporate partner with the City of Steinbach. We wish to provide a service to our community through the game of golf. We also provide tourism to our community and wish to continue providing excellent conditions to our products. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. David Banman. I'm one of the board members of the golf club currently. As Brian's illustrated, the irrigation system is in dire need of replacement. We've pegged the cost somewhere
around $300,000. Those costs, as you are well aware, these days just seem to be going up exponentially. I was just talking to Brian now, and he mentioned that he spoke to the supplier today, and they were looking at another 10% increase. So the board of directors has decided that now is the time to rectify the issue, and we hope to embark upon a fundraising campaign amongst our members and the general public over the next year. And we're hoping that that fundraising campaign will contribute a significant amount of the cost to complete the project. The rest of the funds will be made up through a little bit of reserve money that we have, as well as some possible borrowing. One key and very valuable component to our fundraising campaign this time around will be the ability to issue tax-deductible donation receipts to our donation contributors. This wouldn't normally be a possibility for us as a golf club. We don't qualify as a charity, obviously. But since the city of Steinbach is the legal owner of the front nine and the clubhouse areas of the course, the city would actually be able to issue tax receipts for the portion of the land that they own, which is roughly about 60% of the total mass of the golf course, with the idea that the land that the city owns is being improved with an irrigation system. So as a result, the golf club would formally request from the city that the city of Steinbach accept donations for this project and issue tax receipts for the project. The amount of the donations to the city would be capped at 60% of the project. That would be roughly the amount that would benefit the land that the city owns. The golf club is not asking for any direct monetary contributions. I think that the ability to have our possible donors get a tax receipt for their contributions would be immense help on its own. As Brian mentioned, in terms of timing, we'd like to start our fundraising campaign in the spring and have it wrapped up by the end of the year, with the new irrigation system being put in fall before the snow flies. There may be some donations that may kind of move over into the 2022 year, but we anticipate to have almost all of our fundraising complete in 2022. So that would be our request of the city, and we're happy to answer any questions on the project or on our ideas in general.
Yes, thank you very much. Just one clarification question, and you did cover it. So you're not asking for any grant from the city, you're just asking for the city to collect the money for you, issue tax receipts as we can, and then just transfer the money to you at the time of project.
That's correct. We're not asking for a grant. We're not asking for any money out of pocket. This would just be the city would actually essentially act as a conduit to allow us to issue those donation receipts to the people who are contributing.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions of Mr. Banman? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to clarify, that obviously you're not asking for any new funds from the city. So when you say the 60%, that's because the city owns 60% of the land. So the tax receipt would be for 60% of whatever the contributions are in terms of, you just sort of outline that.
What we'd like to do, I think, is to say that we need to raise, let's say the number is 300,000, 60% is 180,000. So what we do is we would say, we go to our donors and say, we need to raise 180,000. That's what we're going to raise. The rest of it will be made up in different forms. That might be reserve, that might be through financing, some other arrangement. So we wouldn't be asking, we'd say that anybody who pays dollar for dollar will get it. If they give us $100, they'll get a $100 tax receipt. But that number is capped at 180,000. After that, the golf course is on its own.
Okay.
Yep, that clarifies it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further, Council? Okay, I have no further questions either. Thank you very much. It was a great presentation. Council, I would at this time recommend we refer this to administration for consideration, and then have them come with a recommendation at the next meeting. Would that time frame work for you? Because it looks like it's time sensitive, so we'd want to give them an answer by next meeting, so they can get going with their, like, whatever the answer is, right? Because, so if you can do it in that time, Council, are you good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so then we'll refer it to administration. He'll give us a recommendation on consideration of it, and then we'll get back to you after our next meeting. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, council, we have 9G. This is bylaw 2020 or 2022-04, business license bylaw. This is our first reading. Starts on page 31. Mr. Workman, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I will refer this over to the city's corporate services manager, Adam Thiessen, for comment.
Thank you. Yes, the city business license bylaw was discussed at the City Council Strategic Priority Committee meeting on November 30 with the purpose of replacing the existing business license bylaw and also our amusement parlor bylaw number 881. The amusement parlor bylaw actually is one that it's quite old and hasn't been used in quite some time as far as administration is aware. So bringing that up today is something for council to consider, as it's related to the business license bylaw and not relevant anymore. Desired outcomes of updating the business license bylaw and replacing the existing business license bylaw and amusement parlor bylaw would be that administration is better able to effectively address bylaw contraventions related to home-based and mobile businesses in Steinbach, that applicants would be able to obtain a short-term business license for a period of 72 hours if they wish to do so, and just that it would be updated to better represent the city as a whole. Recommendation from administration is to approve first reading of business license bylaw 2204, and that council would repeal both existing business license bylaw 1285 and amusement parlor bylaw 881.
Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Hiebert?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a seconder? Second by Councillor Spicer. Go ahead, Councillor Hiebert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I view this, it appears that it's more of an administration issue here, where we're going to introduce a new bylaw to replace two existing bylaws. And one of the differences here that the new bylaws will also update our fees and penalties. And as administration just said, we'll also add a short-term license to this bylaw.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, this is updating existing bylaws, and you know that an existing bylaw is old when it says Town of Steinbach, and it was obviously, it looks like it was typed on a typewriter. So definitely time to do some upgrades, and as has been noted, we are changing the license process in terms of the amounts. The penalties are different. The process by which we can enforce it, we're now moving it onto our existing administrative penalty bylaw. And we also have the option of a 72-hour business license for trial and short-term businesses. So I think it makes sense for us to move ahead.
Thank you. Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
Nothing further.
Yes, council, I think it's always good to go through the bylaws. That's what we do. We set policy, and bylaws are our policies. And just to add to what Councillor Spicer said, yes, it is a very old bylaw. It was passed first in 1982. So it's high time to update this, bring this bylaw into the 21st century so that we can, well, basically it's easier for us to administrate this bylaw. Call for the question for first reading. All approve or oppose, all four. Opposed? Okay, I'm crashing and burning here.
Next bylaw.
Okay, right, sorry, the burning bylaw is the next one.
Coming up.
I'm ahead of myself. Okay. We'll go 9H, bylaw 2205. This is the burning bylaw. This is also first reading. It's on page 46 of your package. Mr. Workney, could you please introduce it? bylaw.
Mr. Mayor, I will also defer this one to Mr. Thiessen.
Thank you. Yes. So this, a draft of this bylaw was discussed at the November 30, 2021 Strategic Priority Committees as well, with the purpose of being the prevention and control of fires within the city of Steinbach. Desired outcomes for this bylaw would be that the Steinbach Fire Department is able to effectively address public safety and nuisance concerns through the use of burn bans and bylaw enforcement, and that we would see a reduction in unnecessary false alarm incidents. Recommendation from administration is to approve first reading of bylaw 2205, the Steinbach burning bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve.
and second by Councillor Pennon. Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also to update a burning bylaw. I think is the first time we've got one that is all-encompassing, but it gives the city a lot more definition on what it means, what a fire, and where we can have a fire and where we can't. And so, and all the rules and the regulations around it, when we can bring in a burning ban and open fires, the fire pits and so on. So it gives us a better understanding and definitions around where we can outdo fires in Steinbach.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the spirit of the bylaw here was not for us as the city to bring in lots of provisions of when people can and cannot burn, where they can, where they can't. It was more so to bring in provisions of safety for neighboring properties and such. Also being able to put in implement a burn ban across the city is something that's very important that we need to be able to do. As well, there are exceptional costs even for false alarms to dispatch even the smallest amount of the fire department. So we also, there's provision to help with reoccurring false alarm incidents so that the individuals that are having those choose to remedy the issues that they're having in terms of causing the false alarms. So that's something that should hopefully also see the city save some funds with regards to our dispatching of the fire department.
Thank you. Anything further of council? Anything closer?
No, sir.
Yes, council, I do believe this is very timely as more and more people are having recreational fires in their backyards. To have some safety set up around them, I think that makes sense. That also, we've seen increasing as our city grows, we see increasing amounts of false alarms. I think too, it's high time for some of the penalties to be put in, and there's even in the penalties, there's still grace that we're offering, because we are giving, a few chances before, because sometimes alarms just go off, and there's not a lot you can do. But when it's reoccurring, then now there's a mechanism in place that by where we can take care of this, and if need be, we can give penalties. But council, I'd like to ask for the call for the question for first reading. All those that are approved, opposed, that is carried. Council, we have 9I. This is bylaw 2196. This is the public lane closure, first reading. This is on page 57 of your package. Mr. Workney, could you please introduce this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw 2196 is a proposed road closing bylaw that also includes public lane and public drain. The Southeast Event Center project is intended to be developed on the existing Centennial Arena and T.G. Smith Center site. In order to be able to prepare the site for this anticipated construction, it is being recommended that the existing public lanes, public drain, and public road that exist on it be closed so that the site can be properly configured for construction. Council is able to see the actual extent of all these particular public lanes, et cetera, on the overhead. Recommendation is to give this bylaw first reading, and if done so, then a public hearing would be scheduled for later on in April.
Thank you, Mr. Worthing. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion for first reading.
second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose here is to close the public lane behind Centennial Arena and T.G. Smith Center and a part of the Elmdale Drain. This is part of site preparation for the Southeast Event Center, and this is yet another sign that we are moving ahead. There's a lot of different steps that have to be taken and making sure that everything is set up so that when construction begins, we're ready to go, and part of it is closing this lane.
Thank you. Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Council will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Council, we've got 9J. This is subdivision 4451-2021-8575. This is referring to 195 Park Road West. It's on page 62 of your package. Mr. Worthing, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this particular application for subdivision seeks council approval for the creation of one residential parcel and one commercial parcel from an approximately 6.4 acre piece of land located on Park Road West, just to the west of Clear Spring Mall. Road access is already provided for by the existing Park Road West and Thresher Road. The project was, or at least the parcel was recently rezoned in a file that was approved by council in January 2022. Recommendation that from administration is that council approve the subdivision application subject to a development agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Worthing. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Penner,
Motion to approve.
by Councillor Hiebert. Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Thank you very much. We'll be seeing a lot more, I think, changes to this development as time goes on. It's a huge development, and this is just a normal part of that. As their plans change, as they anticipate supply and demand in the market, they just make adjustments. And seeing as there's no concerns from the city side of things, there's no reason why we can't approve it.
Thank you. Anything further?
I think Councillor Penner has said it all. Thank you.
Anything further from council? Anything in closing?
No.
Well, council, I agree. Councillor Penner said it well when she said this is a large development, and there'll be lots more of this as it develops and as the market changes as they're building. So call for the question. All those in favor? That opposed? That is carried. We got 9K. This is Manitoba Hydro Street Lighting. This is referring to Harmony Lane, Bentley Bay, and Carrera Cove. It's on page 66 of our package. You'll see the page. There is a motion to approve. Council, looking for a motion to approve the Manitoba Hydro Street Lighting. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hiebert. Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As new subdivisions go in, we would like to see them lit. And so that gives Manitoba Hydro approval to do so. And the only downside to this is it's great information, but we need to remember here's another couple new names that we need to remember.
Anything, thank you. Anything further?
I'm just looking at 9 more lights, and basically they're about $175 a piece, and I think that's what we've been paying for the last couple of years.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No, sir.
Council, when it first ran in 2010 for council, I think there was around 5,000 homes. And now we're well over 7,300 homes. And this is part of our expansion. And Councillor Siemens right. As we expand, we also want to see where we're going. And that's why we need these lights. So, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We got Okay, Council 9L, this is the last one. Weed Inspector, the 2022 appointment. That's on page 69. We've got a resolution to appoint Trevor Schellenberg, our Community Service Officer, to be appointed as City of Steinbach's Weed Inspector for 2022. Looking for a motion, or looking for, how would you like to proceed, Council? Councilor Swagstra.
I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution.
And second by Councillor Hiebert.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to briefly comment that obviously we're going to appoint our bylaw, our community services officer to be the weed inspector, but there is some good news that is coming out from the province that should make it a lot easier for us to maintain our lawns. The province has indicated that they are partially loosening the pesticide ban, which means that the draft legislation that they're looking at would allow the municipality, or us, to be able to use the standard pesticide products on boulevards, sidewalks, in many public areas. Not all public areas. They won't allow it on playgrounds as their plan at this point. But people will also be able to use it on private lawns. And so this is, that is a positive step. Hopefully the province follows through with that legislation. It's proposed at this point, but that should make controlling our weeds a little bit easier.
Anything further?
And I'll follow up saying that Trevor does a diligent job at his job, so I think it's a good appointment again.
Thank you. Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
Nope.
Yes, council, this is good news. The fact that the province is looking at loosening the decision on weed control. That is something that, as municipalities, we got together and we went to AMM, and AMM has also lobbied the province for this. So this is good news. It's a step in the right direction. Now it's just a matter of getting this all approved and through our government. Looking for call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, council. This is number 10. We've got council question period. Is there any questions of council? Okay, seeing none. We'll go to number 11. This is correspondence and petitions. Council, on page 70, we have a request from Choice Dental Care. It's a letter that they are asking for us to fly the Ukrainian flag. Council, 2 weeks ago, we did make a motion to show our support for the Ukraine. I just want to give you a little update on what's happened since then. As I got to work right away and I started making some phone calls. I called Eastman Immigration, started working with Marcel. He's working with our federal government because immigration, their body is federal. Also called Ted Falk's office, been working with their office federally as well. There was some really good news in ways to bring family members across and have them safe. We're also working further than that. We're working in the community, and I've had phone calls with Walter Fast, and he is the head pastor at the Mennonite Brethren Church. He's also the chair of the Steinbach ministerial team, and he's going to be bringing he brought it forward in church this Sunday, and he's asked church members if there's anyone that could host Ukraine families for short-term, long-term, whatever they could do to see if there was families that have homes with room. He's also going to be asking the ministerial board to go to their churches and have the same ask, and also to have ask churches that couldn't afford it, but to help and sponsor Ukraine refugees to come to our area. And we've also, with that's where the federal side comes in, and that's where, a fellow like Bill Cron at the Ted Falk's office can really, really help too. And we've got there are corporations in our community that are looking to help also bring Ukrainian people over to be with their families out here. And I really think it's exciting. What Steinbach is doing and the people of Steinbach, it's really, really exciting how we're working together. And I love it that it's coming from our churches. And that shows the benefit of having churches in your community. Churches do a great job. And it's in crisis is when we see this. And that's what we've been working on. I just wanted to update everyone because that's what we've been working on in the last couple of weeks. I think we've come very, very far in just a short time. But everyone is hypersensitive and wants to help and wants to do a great thing. So that's why I would rather, in my opinion, I would rather bring people over, work very, very hard. I get it. I see the desire to have the Ukrainian flag flying, but we're Canadians. This is our Canadian flag. But I want to work hard to save and keep as many people safe as possible. And that flag or no flag, that's what I want to do. And I think that's the important thing here is to work hard with the organizations in our community, our churches, anyone who can, who has room in their home to help. That's what's important here. And that's what I'd recommend. But Council, how would you like to proceed?
I think your direction is very good, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So then we'll take this as information.
Okay.
And thank you very much. Excuse me, no, this is a closed part of the meeting, like this, it's not public or. Oh, we got that email. Yeah, we got the email. We got the petition.
Actually, we had 2 more letters supported from Kevin Gertsen and from
Okay, we saw those too. Yeah, those, we have all that. Yep. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, Council, there's no other business. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hiebert, second by Councillor Penner. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Next council meeting is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, at 7:30 p.m. Thank you.